27. Okay, attendance enabled, guys. I think I'm still experiencing some kind of lag at WebEx end. I can see that my internet connection is fine. This is the issue. Good morning. So anyone who's a Microsoft Teams expert, please contact me over email. Do tell me how should I go about it. I tried creating an account, but it didn't work. So, so if you know something about Microsoft Teams, please do contact me. And otherwise, if you know someone whom I can contact, I think I can probably contact your electronics faculty. Please connect me to him or her, whomsoever it is, and I can try to contact that person. So because I too also want to get away from WebEx. Okay, I don't like it at all. It's just that as of now we don't have any other choice.
Sir, meanwhile, I had a doubt, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, regarding that PTR and dummy program only, sir. I'm
Mhm.
not getting that last part of the code, sir, where we have like reassigned PTR to 5, sir. What we
Mhm.
have done there, sir?
That is not reassigning PTR. That is basically value at PTR. So basically, whatever location this PTR is pointing to, we are storing 5 at that location. We are not assigning a value to PTR. There is a difference here. Okay, we are assigning a value to the address which is pointed to by PTR. Does it make sense? If I write
Yes,
something like, yeah, if I write something like PTR equal to something, then I am assigning something to PTR. If I write asterisk PTR equal to something, I am basically saying go to the location which is pointed to by this PTR and then write this there. Okay, so now what is your doubt?
so, sir, this value will be overwritten in that dummy variable or in that PTR?
This value will be overwritten. Yeah, wherever it is pointing to, this 4
Okay.
bytes starting from that position, 4 bytes will now become 5.
Yes, sir. And sir, that scanf line also, sir. In that scanf,
Mhm.
we have written percentile asterisk C.
Yeah.
Sir, what does this mean, sir? That
Yeah, so basically this is a kind of shortcut. If you put a star in %c, it basically says that scanf should parse this particular input, but it should ignore it after parsing. So there is no variable to which uh, this value has to be assigned. This is the idea. Why am I doing it? Actually, I just want the program to 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 be paused at that particular instance. Okay, so when I press enter, then the program continues. That was the idea. I wanted to just take a single character input there. I don't need to store it anywhere. I just wanted to take a single character input, so that the program halts, and when you press enter, the program continues.
So this is for the that runtime thing, sir. Like we want to increase the runtime of the program.
We want to what?
So increase the runtime, sir. That we had discussed earlier about this, sir.
uh, Runtime, I'm not sure how is runtime coming here.
Sir, because we are actually, sir, like
So is
increasing
it
the runtime, no, sir.
so can everyone hear Nischal properly, or is it just me?
Sir, his voice coming fine.
Yeah, so then it is my so I'm not sure what is happening, right? Because my internet connection says the speed is 100 Mbps, uh, but it is, there is some issue. Anyhow, yeah, Nishal, go ahead.
So rest, like I'm clear, sir. I'm
Okay,
done with it.
okay. So you understand the percent C part, percent asterisk C part?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And sir, also when we have done post increment on PTR,
Mm-hmm.
so how has the address changed? Like, do we have to be concerned with that thing also? Or?
No. It basically is whatever is the type of PTR. I mean the declared type. Based on that, the increment will happen. So here, because PTR is pointing to an integer, it will be advanced by 4 bytes. If it was pointing to a double, it would have been advanced by 8 bytes. Okay, so you don't have to worry about it. It happens in the background.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I do have some emails. I'm not sure if I that are unread for me. I will reply back to them. Don't worry. Um, but yeah, any more queries from the last lecture? And please mark your attendance. I only have 51 responses till now.
Sir, also, sir,
Yes.
the do while loop which we have used, isn't it an infinite loop, sir?
Yes, it is an infinite loop.
So, sir, it will keep on changing the address.
Yeah, that is the idea of it. That basically we are trying to find an address which is outside the
Okay, okay, sir.
scope of your process's addresses. Okay, and eventually, okay, if you keep on increasing this pointer, eventually it will reach a stage where you make an illegal access to the memory, and the operating system will end your program. That is the idea. Any more queries? Oh, that is interesting. I only have 72 participants, but I have 75 attendance responses. Okay, maybe they are just coming in and going out. Okay, so so if are there any more queries, or shall we start with the next part of the lecture? Okay, and as I've said last time, when I take a live lecture, I will not be able to see your chats. So you'll have to actually unmute and tell me. Even if my voice is breaking, you'll have to unmute and tell me. Okay. So let me start. So I hope you can see my screen. I'll use this laser pointer. Okay, thank you. Let's start, guys. So this is what we have discussed till now, that pointers are basically a special type of variable. So you can say that there are two kind of variables in C. There is the regular variables. There's really no term like this regular variable. They are just variables. And then there are pointer variables. Pointer variables do not store values. They actually store addresses, right? So essentially, they point to a different variable of location in the memory. And a pointer variable has an associated data type. Okay, the type of variables it can point to. So for example, a pointer variable can point to an integer, a double. It can point to another pointer variable. That is where we saw that double asterisk. Okay, and there can be triple asterisk as well. So basically, whatever type you decide, the compiler is going to force you to only assign addresses of a data type
सर
of, yeah.
मैं सर कल ट्राई कर रहा सर, मैंने इंट का पॉइंटर बनाया था और सर मैं उसको पॉइंट कर रहा था कैर की तरफ, तो सर कोई एरर नहीं बता रहा था मतलब।
हाँ, तो देखिए कैर और इंट कंपैटिबल टाइप्स हैं, राइट? जो भी चीज आप एक इंट को असाइन कर सकते हो, वो चीज वैसे ही उसके पॉइंटर को आप इंट पॉइंटर को भी असाइन कर सकते हो।
ओके सर।
ठीक है। सो yeah, so basically yeah, so you can actually point to different variables, but their types must be the same. Okay, that is the idea. And we can assign the address of a particular variable. We can access the address of a particular variable using the ampersand operator. So you do something like this. If ptr is a pointer and var is a variable, and of course there has to be compatibility when it comes to their data types. So you can do something like ptr equal to ampersand var. Similarly, in order to access value at a particular location in the memory, you use the uh, sorry, that was ampersand and this is asterisk, right? So I'm not sure if I misspoke. So asterisk is the operator that you use to access value at a particular address. Okay, so this is the idea that asterisk var. Actually, I should probably write asterisk ptr here. Otherwise it might be confusing. So this is asterisk ptr equal to value. Just convention that I'm assuming ptr are all the pointer variables and var are the regular variables. So here it should be asterisk
सर
ptr.
ये एम्परसेंड सर वेर सर एक एड्रेस ही तो स्टोर करता है, तो सर इसको मतलब ऐसे कोई नॉर्मल वेरिएबल में स्टोर नहीं कर सकते कि मतलब ये भी तो एक वैल्यू है जो आएगी।
बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं आप, लेकिन वो एक इंटीजर की तरह से स्टोर होगा। वो एक एड्रेस की तरह से स्टोर नहीं होगा, वो एक इंटीजर की तरह से स्टोर होगा।
अच्छा
और
सर,
आपको
मतलब वो
शायद
हेक्साडेसिमल फॉर्म में नहीं होगा।
हेक्साडेसिमल सिर्फ एक रिप्रेजेंटेशन है जब आप उसको प्रिंट करते हो। वो एक्चुअल में एक इंटीजर है। ठीक है ना?
ओके।
हेक्साडेसिमल जैसे मैंने कहा ना कि एक इंटीजर है तो आप उसको बाइनरी में भी कन्वर्ट कर सकते हो, तो उसमें 10100001 इस तरह से दिखेगा आपको। आप उसको आमतौर पे डेसिमल में देखते हो तो वो आपको 23 46 इस तरह से दिखता है। आप उसको हेक्साडेसिमल में भी कन्वर्ट कर सकते हो। तो कन्वेंशन ये है कि आमतौर पर जब हम लोग एड्रेसेस शो करते हैं तो यूजुअली हेक्साडेसिमल में शो करते हैं यूजुअली, है ना? लेकिन आप चाहो तो उसको एक इंटीजर में कन्वर्ट करके और देख सकते हो कि वो एक्चुअल नंबर क्या है।
ओके सर।
So basically this is actually what I'm trying to say is that from our convention this is actually PTR and not VAR, right? This is the idea. I'll just change it in the slides as well. And then we saw that we can actually add or subtract integers to and from a pointer. The idea of adding or subtracting something from a pointer essentially means advancing or backtracking that pointer in the memory, right? So because we are storing an address, and when I say add one to this address, it essentially means that if you are pointing to an integer, point to the next integer. If I am pointing to a double, adding one to that pointer means point to the next double in the memory. This is the idea. And the advances, as I said, they actually happen in the denominations of the size of the associated data type of the pointer variable. So for example, if it is an integer, if you add +1 to that pointer, it will be advanced by 4 bytes. Are if you have a double pointer, it will be advanced by 8 bytes. So now one of the most what can I say, deep relationships in C, that where pointers are so often used are with arrays. Okay, so now you remember that arrays are a collection of variables residing contiguously in the memory. So this contiguous thing, okay, now it will make sense to you that why the variables in an array are allocated contiguously, what kind of advantage does it give you if the elements are allocated memory contiguously? So we know that if in order to access the ith element of an array, you use an expression like ARRI, something like this. Now, what really happens is whenever you actually write something like ARRI, the compiler automatically converts to this expression. So now you can understand why pointers are so important. That even though you are given this as a convenience, okay, you can write ARRI like this to access the ith element. The actual expression that gets evaluated in the background is something like this: asterisk ARR plus I, right? So now you may have already guessed that basically ARR here is nothing but a pointer. Okay, so whenever you create an array, you essentially create a pointer. Okay, um, it's a pointer that is not really a variable, it's a constant, right? I mean, you cannot do something like ARR plus plus, for example, okay, because it's a constant. It is not a variable whose value can be changed. But it is actually a pointer. It is not a pointer variable, a pointer constant. So now you know that we can actually add numbers to a pointer, right? So what does it mean? That if I want to write ARR2, what does it get? It gets evaluated as ARR plus 2 and value at. Okay, so this is how it actually gets evaluated in the background. So now you can understand that this whole pointer arithmetic that we have seen in the previous lecture, how does it actually get affected? So now this mathematics makes perfect sense, right? Because if I want to access ARR0, it is basically the starting address of the array. If I want to access ARR1, where will be ARR1? Let us say if ARR is an integer array which starts at, let us say, address 1000, ARR1 will be at 1004, ARR2 will be at 1008. So now if you do this mathematics here, it will make perfect sense to you that essentially ARR is a pointer and you are just adding some number to it, and then you are putting an asterisk over it. So this now this is how the actual array expressions are evaluated by the compiler. Okay, so if you have a given array, if you have an array called ARR, for example, wherever you have written code, you can always interchange this term ARRI with this term, and the compiler will not complain. Okay, so you can try it out. Wherever you are using ARRI, you can actually replace it with asterisk ARR plus I. These two are actually equivalent to each other. Also, ARR is just an alias as in another name for this expression, ampersand ARR0, right? So basically, address of the first element of the array. So this is something that is why pointers and arrays are so closely bound with each other, because at the background, arrays are nothing but pointers. This is why we usually study pointers and arrays together, because arrays are nothing more than a special type of pointer. So if p is a compatible pointer variable, when I say p compatible, again the same things come to discussion, that if ARR is an integer array, p should be an integer pointer. So if ARR was declared as int ARR 5, p should have been declared as int asterisk p, something like this. So there has to be compatibility between these two data types. But if you do have compatibility, this is a perfectly valid statement. P is double equal to and ARR0, or you can simply write P equal to ARR. As I said, ARR is a kind of pointer constant. It is essentially an address. So you can directly assign it to P. And once you have done that, you can use PI in place of ARRI without any syntax errors. The compiler will not complain if you write pi instead of arri, right? However, this is the difference, because arr is a constant. Writing something like arr plus plus is invalid, but p is a variable, so you can write something like p plus plus. It just means p now points to the next element of the array. So this is a simple example. Here what I'm trying to do is I'm creating a character array. It is pointing to the string hello world, and then I'm just creating another character pointer. Okay, this is hptr. This is a pointer, and I'm just assigning hello, right? This is the name of my array. Okay, so that is what I was saying, that hello is nothing but a pointer constant. So I'm just assigning this to this pointer variable, and then from there onwards, as I said, so this is equivalent, and you can write it like this as well. Asterisk ptr is equal to ampersand hello 0. So these two are equivalent, by the way. And from there onwards, what I'm just doing is, instead of accessing the array through this subscript notation, okay, I'm simply increasing the pointer hptr plus plus, okay, and I'm simply printing every element of the array. And just a minute, let me just okay, I no, I forget doing this every day. I have to keep this. You may not be seeing what is happening here, but there is a small annoying box that comes from WebEx when you share your screen, and this thing comes here, so I cannot read what is happening anyhow. So so the pointer arithmetic can now make absolute sense, right? Because essentially whenever I'm doing hptr plus plus, it simply means point to the next element of the array. And well, this is what it will print. It will print hello world for you. Okay, so now till here, okay, do you have any queries? I think I have time. I can take a couple of queries. If you have any queries, you can ask. Okay, so I'm assuming things are clear. So now one of the issues that we have not yet discussed, right? And this is like, why do we really need pointers? Okay, and this was a question that came up last time, because everything that we have seen till now, we already knew how to do that, right? I mean, we were trying to change a variable's value. We know that we could have done it directly by using the variable's name. We tried to access different members of an array using a pointer, but we could have done that using the subscripts itself. So till now we have not really seen any real purpose, something, a kind of edge, for example, that you get if you know what pointers are. Till now, prior to this, you could have done everything that we were trying to do using pointers by not using pointers as well. So but there is something that pointers give you, which you were not able to do before, and this is dynamically allocating memory, or creating something like dynamically sized arrays. Now we have known that something, declaring something like this is illegal. Again, I know that maybe um, the recent versions of compiler might actually be fine with this. Okay, but otherwise I'm supposed to write this, right? I mean, I have to put a constant whenever I create an array, because this was not really allowed in C at all. You cannot put a variable as the capacity of an array, and this was a huge challenge, right? I mean, how will we actually declare an array of a variable size, right? So for example, where I'm taking n as an input through scanf, if I want to create an array of a specific size only, I don't want to create array of size anything more than what I want, or what I want. So then there is a function that the C library provides you. It's called malloc or malloc. Okay, we usually call it simply malloc. Okay, the malloc function can actually allocate an arbitrary amount of memory to you. Okay, when your program is running, I'm not talking about creating a variable. Okay, that we already know that if whenever you define a variable, some memory is kept aside for it. But that memory is fixed, right? It depends on the data type of the variable, and that amount of memory is kept aside for you. I'm talking about memory. If you require some memory while your program is running, okay, if you want some dynamically allocated memory, this is the function for you. It's called malloc. Okay? And what does malloc do? It essentially returns a block of memory, a block of contiguous memory for to your program for use. And what it really does, it simply returns a pointer to that particular memory block, the initial address of that memory block. It is returned back to you as a pointer. So if we require, let us say, an integer array of size n, how much memory do I need? Assuming that that int is basically 4 bytes, I actually need 4n bytes of space in the memory, and this 4n bytes of space of memory can be given to me by malloc. Okay, so the idea is I provide this malloc a particular uh, argument. The argument is the number of bytes I need. So this is usually how we do that. Even though you might know that int takes only 4 bytes, it is a good practice to use the size of operator, right? Because with the help of size of, you can actually be sure that your code will work fine even on different platforms. Because let us say you are running the code on a platform where integer is of a different size. um, if you simply write 4 or 2, it might be a problem. So usually whenever we use malloc, we use this size of operator. So essentially if I need to create an array of size n for a particular data type, I simply put it like this. I want size of x asterisk n number of bytes in the memory. So I provide this as an input to malloc, and malloc allocates that much amount of memory to me. And as you have already seen, pointers, you can use pointers like an array. So from there onwards, the pointer that was returned to you can use it in the subscript notation. So you can do something like ptri, and then you can use it like a regular array. There is a problem though with malloc. The memory that you allocate through malloc, it is not freed explicitly. So when I see freed explicitly, what does it mean? You all know that there is something known as a scope. So for example, whenever you create a particular variable within a block, as soon as the program exits that block, that variable becomes inaccessible to you, right? So essentially the memory which was allocated for that variable, it is now freed as in it is no longer available for use for your program. This is a way of cleaning up, right? So whenever we run a program, we keep on creating variables, and on the background we are basically using more and more space in the memory. But as soon as the scope of that variable is out, right, I mean it is no longer required, the memory can be reclaimed. So this is a way of cleaning up. Now different languages have different ways of this cleanup, right? But there has to be some sort of cleanup which involves reclaiming the memory that is no longer in use.
So your voice is breaking, sir.
Okay, till what? Let me just check my connection again.
Actually,
It's fine.
yes.
Yeah, so this is another issue with live lectures. There is so much pressure on my head as well. Anyhow, so is it fine now? Whomsoever was having an issue, is it continuously breaking or?
No,
Sir,
sir,
it
it's
was
fine.
no. So now it's fine, sir.
Okay, fine. So yeah, this is the issue. I don't know where exactly is the problem. Okay, so I was talking about variables. Okay, so whenever you create a variable, um, as soon as the control exits the block in which this particular variable was created, the variable is now freed. The memory occupied by that variable gets freed. Freed means it is now reclaimed for some other use. But if you allocate some memory via malloc, that memory is not freed. Okay, even though your pointer, whichever pointer you were using, has now gone out of scope. Okay, so there is no way now that that particular pointer is accessible to you. Even if it goes out of scope, the memory that you allocate through malloc is not freed. Okay, and if you are running a very large program where you are memory, for example, in a for loop or something like this, so every time you're creating a new array inside a for loop, if you actually do not free up this memory, there will be a particular a particular event where you actually run out of all the memory that is available to you for use. We call it memory leak. The term that we use is memory leak. It essentially means that you are keep on allocating the memory, but you are not freeing it up. So there is another library function. It's called free. Okay, let me just get my laser pointer back. So there's another library function called free. So free works in exactly the opposite way, that if you have a pointer which is pointing to a block of memory, which was dynamically allocated using malloc, if you pass it to the free function, and basically the idea is you do that when you have done, when you have used up the array for whatever purpose you wanted it to. Once you are done, you pass that pointer to the free function, and it will basically deallocate whatever memory was dynamically allocated to you. So here's a simple example. I'm creating a character pointer. So this is char asterisk. Okay, and the idea is that you're giving me a word, and I'm simply changing it to a capital form of the word. So you have that to upper function, right, in the library. This is basically a to upper function, but for the complete word, not just one character. I mean, you can do it in a much simpler way. I just wanted to show you how dynamic memory allocation works. So I'm using this as an example. So we basically start by having a character pointer, pointer of whatever type you want. If you want to declare a integer array, it will be int asterisk. And by the way, there is something known as null, null, in capital. So null is actually a constant. It is a special constant, which essentially means it is essentially saying that this particular pointer does not point to anywhere in the memory. So this is the idea, that you remember that whenever you create a variable but you do not initialize it, what does it get? It gets some kind of garbage value. The same thing is true even with pointers. So if I just leave it as char asterisk characters semicolon, then it will be a pointer, but it will be pointing to some random location in my memory. We call such pointers as dangling pointers. Okay, they are pointing at somewhere in the memory, which does not make any sense. So there is a special constant that is available to us. If you assign it null, it basically means this particular pointer is not pointing to anywhere in the memory. So this is just like an initialization value that we should use whenever we use pointers. This is a good practice to not leave dangling pointers. Now the next thing that I do is I do something like this. This is my pointer. I'm calling the malloc function. Now this is what I just talked about. You actually give the size of the data type which you are using. Here I'm creating a character array, so I have written size of char multiplied by the number of elements you want in the array. Okay, so this is so I have figured out the number of characters that are there in the word, and I need one more character to put the /0. So I'm creating a character array of characters count plus 1. So this is going to give me, and so malloc is going to give me some dynamically allocated memory of what size, these many number of bytes, because size of char is just 1. From there on, yeah, and that is what I was saying, that it is a good practice to use size of here. Okay, instead of writing 1 4, or 8, if you want to write code which is compatible across multiple platforms, this is a good practice to use size of. The data type you're using, just use size of. Then once you have done that, you can basically start using characters, the pointer that we created, exactly similar to how you use an array, right? Because as I told you, these two notations, asterisk, ptr plus I, and ptr I, they are basically equivalent to each other. So now what I am doing is I'm simply using the characters I as an array, and I'm assigning it some value. That's it. So, and towards the end, once I'm done, once right before my program ends, I'm calling the free function, and the same point, the pointer which was pointing to the dynamically allocated memory, I'm just passing it to the free function, and now this memory that I just allocated will be freed. Any queries still here? See, this is what I was thinking, that in live lectures, sometimes the concept might not go through in one iteration. So maybe you will actually have to go back and watch this lecture again on YouTube before you can come up with any queries. And this is the idea. The reason why I'm trying not to go the live lectures way is because many students may not be able to understand everything in the first iteration. You may have to go through this lecture multiple times. You may have to actually open up the code, run the code, uh, you know, experiment with the code, and only then maybe the concepts will go through. But anyhow, we this week we are just trying this version as well. The lecture will be available on YouTube, so if you have not understood everything right now, um, I hope that you will be able to understand once you watch this lecture again. So there's just one last thing that I want to talk about in this lecture. This is something that we have been actually putting off for a long time. Anyone has a question?
Sir, what have we done in the last fifth line of that code, sir?
Fifth
So
line.
yes, the last with that topper word, I said that one.
Let me just.
So, yes, sir, this last fifth line, sir. Yeah.
Okay, this one.
So below that, sir, that after the for loop, sir.
Sir,
This one.
inside the for loop.
Yes,
This
sir.
one. Oh,
Yes,
this is
sir.
this is a simple for loop. I'm just trying to access the ith element of the characters array. So you can understand that it is not really an array but a contiguous memory location which can be
Yes, sir.
treated like an array. And then this is the word that I got from the user. So essentially I'm just doing two upper of that particular
Okay,
word. That's it. That
okay,
particular,
okay, sir.
the two upper method is applicable for a single character. And this program is essentially a two upper method for a complete word. This is the only thing that this program is doing, nothing more than that. uh, so this is this the only thing that we are interested in seeing is that after allocating it some memory dynamically, you can access it like this. This is the only thing I want to show. Any more queries about this program or anything before this? I only have like 4 5 minutes of stuff left, so we can spend some time. And remember, don't be scared of pointers. I understand that when you actually talk to someone and tell that person that I have done a course uh, of programming in C, that person might actually if that person might want to tease you, uh, he or she might ask you a question about pointers, right? This is the simplest way to rag someone who says that I know C and C++. The simplest way to rag you is by giving you a problem that involves the use of pointers, because pointers are so cryptic. But the idea is, as I said, I've said this multiple times. I'm not really trying to make you guys an expert C coder. Okay, most probably you will not even code in C after this particular course, right? I mean, you might actually pick up C++ or Java or Python or some other language. But pointers as a concept is applicable in all the languages. It's just that the recent languages, they have actually hidden the pointers from you. Okay, they don't let you use the pointers because there are so many ways in which you can goof up. So they have basically stopped giving the access to pointers to developers. But in the fascinating world of C and C++, pointers are still available for developers to use. This is the idea. So don't be scared of pointers. Just understand that this is another programming concept, and there is a good chance that you will not be required um, to use pointers in the more advanced languages. um, but as an engineer, as a computer science engineer, you should know how things work. So this is why I'm teaching pointers, but I'm not going into I can probably take just 2 weeks of time teaching details of pointers itself, and even 2 weeks might not be enough. But that is not the idea. I'm just trying to tell you that there is a concept like pointers that exist. Even in the exams, I'm not really going to the output questions will not be cryptic questions. They'll not require you to look at three-dimensional pointers or four-dimensional pointers, or stuff like that. They'll be simple questions about how pointers work. Okay, so there'll be questions like about pointer arithmetic, for example. This is a very important concept, pointer arithmetic. So don't be scared of pointers. This is the idea. Most of the students who study C or C++ for the first time, they actually get scared that how will we use pointers. This is the idea. Don't be scared. Okay, you'll actually get used to pointers as you start coding more, and you'll actually start appreciating pointers as well once you do more of this dynamic memory allocation. Anyhow, so any more queries, guys? I just have one more thing to talk about.
Sir,
Go ahead.
sir, that fgets function, why we don't use scanf?
Yeah, right. I'm not sure what is the issue. I have never actually used a scanf with %s. I think frankly, I've actually forgotten why. It has become a practice of me to always use fgets. There must be something I'll probably have to look at. Maybe there is some warning or something like that. Some issue with
So
scanf.
scanf usually
Just
buffer
scan
overflows.
doesn't allow space on.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Sometimes I miss out. Yeah, I've told this to you guys, right? I mean, scanf
Yes,
will
you
not.
have told in the lecture.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah. So scanf, because of this tokenization problem, scanf actually tokenizes its input based on white spaces. So if you want to take here, actually, I could have used scanf as well, because I'm just expecting a word and not multiple words. But yeah, this was the idea. As I told, right? I mean, I'm so used to using fgets that sometimes I even forget why I was not using scanf. Yeah, but this is the reason that if you have a string which you are expecting as input, which might have spaces, then scanf won't work. This is the problem with scanf.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Okay. Any more queries?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, actually, I pinned up a image in the chat box. Sir, can you please have a look at that and can?
Image. Just a minute. Let me just complete the lecture then, and we'll come to it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so there is just one more thing that was left. We have actually been avoiding this for a long time. Right from the beginning, I told you that most of the time when you write an expression in C, it is evaluated from left to right. Okay, I in fact told you that in the beginning, just assume everything is evaluated from left to right. Okay, I told you that there are certain exceptions. But we'll get to those exceptions when we have done pointers. Okay, so now is the time to just have a look at that exceptions as well. So we have seen these pre-increment and post-increment operators, right? The plus plus thing. You can put, you can, if you write I plus plus, it is basically post-increment, and if you write plus plus I, it is pre-increment, right? This is what you have already done, and we did have a discussion over what is the difference between the two. I told you that if you use them in a single statement, okay, with where this particular expression is not being used as part of a larger expression, then it simply doesn't make any difference at all. But if you are using it with in a more complex scenario, then the pre-increment and post-increment thing means different things. Now there is one more issue associated with that pre-increment and post-increment operator that we were avoiding, and that is the associativity. Okay, so now this pre-increment operator, if you put it before a variable, it has the associativity of right to left, whereas the post-increment operator, it has the associativity left to right. Again, this is specific to C++, by the way, right? This is not something that is from the programming world as such, but this is something that you should know. This is why I'm telling you, this is something that we have been avoiding for a long time, the right to left operators. So this asterisk and ampersand operators are also uh, right to left, I should say, right? I should it's this is right associative actually. Okay, so they also work from right to left. I'll have to change the slides. So they are also right to left associative, and so in this let us say uh, if you are using this pre-increment operator versus you are using the post-increment operator with a pointer, there will be slight differences, and these subtle differences you should understand. So this pre-increment operator has the same precedence as the asterisk, and the post-increment operator has a higher precedence than above. So basically, post-increment operator is will be evaluated first in an expression as compared to the asterisk. Now, in a nutshell, this is something that you have to understand. If you can understand this, then we are done. So I've written two expressions here, right? Plus plus asterisk PTR and asterisk PTR plus plus. Okay. Now, they are not the same. Why? This plus plus asterisk PTR is evaluated something like this. This asterisk PTR will be evaluated first. Why? Because both pre-increment and asterisk have the same precedence. Now, whenever you have two expressions, two operators of the same precedence, which one gets evaluated first is decided by their associativity. Okay, so because both these operators, and by the way, all operators with the same precedence also have the same associativity. You'll never have two operators which have the same precedence but different associativity. So this you have to understand. On one particular level, all the operators have the same precedence as well as same associativity, and these two operators are on the same level, the pre-increment operator and the asterisk operator. So when you write something like this, plus plus asterisk PTR, it is evaluated like this. The one on the right gets evaluated first, and the one on the left gets evaluated later, because the associativity is right to left. Now usually this was not the case, right? Whenever the associativity was left to right, I told you that everything will be evaluated from left to right. So if for example these two had the left to right associativity, plus plus would have been evaluated first and then asterisk, something like this. Anyhow, so basically this means something like this: increment the value stored at the address pointed by PTR, right? Because this will give you a value asterisk PTR, and plus plus will basically increment that value. Whereas if you do something like this, asterisk PTR plus plus, this is evaluated like this. Why? Because plus plus has a higher precedence. It is at a higher level of precedence. So PTR plus plus will be evaluated first, and then asterisk will be applied over it. So this essentially means advance pointer by 1 unit, whatever is the data type of this pointer. It could be int, it could be float, it could be double. So it will first advance the pointer by 1 unit, by 1 byte, 2 byte, 4 byte, whatever it is, and then return the value at that particular address. Okay, so this is a slight difference, but it is a very important difference, because I'm just telling this because while you are doing some coding, if you are not vigilant, you might actually see some very interesting or annoying output. Okay, and you might not be able to debug it, that why is it happening. So as I've already told you, whenever you are in doubt, the best way to do programming is to use parenthesis. Okay, wherever you feel that I'm not sure whether this will be evaluated first or this will be evaluated first, you just put an explicit parenthesis and everything will be evaluated according to parenthesis. Okay, so this is one digression that we have been avoiding for a long time, and as I said, all operators with the same precedence also have the same associativity. So this is just homework, you can have a look at it. I'm just going to now have a look at your chats. Okay, so there is something that Ayush has posted. By the way, any more queries? I'll sorry, I should actually share the screen anyhow. Uh, okay, I'll just have a look at the picture. Consider an array. Okay. Uh, shall we discuss it in the class? I mean, let us first take other questions. You know, this is a kind of output question. Do we have any conceptual questions? Let us first take them. If you have time, I'll have a look at it. Otherwise, Ayush, you can send it to me over email. Yeah. Do we have any questions first? It might not be clear, I think, in the first iteration. So this is the idea. You know, you may probably need to go through this lecture um, multiple times before you might be able to understand the concepts. But still, if anyone has any queries, you can ask. I will put the lecture anyhow on YouTube.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, when we declare any variable, then the pointer which points to the address is not in मतलब हमारे कंट्रोल में नहीं है वो कि वो एड्रेस कौन सा दे रहा है उस वेरिएबल
हाँ
को।
हाँ, नहीं, वो हमारे कंट्रोल में नहीं है। एड्रेस कौन
तो
सा
सर
मिलेगा वो हमारे कंट्रोल में नहीं है।
हाँ सर, अगर फिर उसको जब मैं इंक्रीमेंट करूंगा तो अगर
हाँ
वो जो भी एड्रेस होगा वो मेरे प्रोग्राम में जो मेमोरी एलोकेट है उसमें नहीं है,
हाँ हाँ।
तो फिर सर उसको कैसे ओवरकम
तो
करना है?
यही तो हमने उस प्रोग्राम में दिखाया। सेगमेंटेशन फॉल्ट वाला जो प्रोग्राम है, वो यही दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहा है कि जब भी आप पॉइंटर्स के साथ अरिथमेटिक करोगे, ये आपकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि आपको देखना पड़ेगा कि आप जिसको इंक्रीमेंट करने के बाद जहाँ पर भी वो पॉइंटर जा रहा है, क्या वो मेमोरी लोकेशन आपके लिए एक्सेसिबल है कि नहीं है। जैसे अभी जो ये एग्जांपल है जहाँ पर हमने एरे क्रिएट की है एक डायनामिक, और फिर हम उसको एक्सेस कर रहे हैं। हमें पता है कि हमने टोटल कितने बाइट एलोकेट करवाए हैं मैलॉक के थ्रू, राइट। अगर हम उसके आगे जाएंगे लूप में, तो हम एक इलीगल मेमोरी लोकेशन को एक्सेस कर सकते हैं। मगर अगर हम अपना जो पॉइंटर अरिथमेटिक है सिर्फ वहीं तक सीमित रखते हैं, तो वो कभी इलीगल एक्सेस नहीं होगा। तो इसका आइडिया यही है कि अगर आप पॉइंटर इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं और उसके साथ अरिथमेटिक कर रहे हैं, तो आपको ये ध्यान रखना होगा कि वो कभी भी किसी ऐसे लोकेशन को पॉइंट ना करे जहाँ पर उसे पॉइंट नहीं करना चाहिए। ओके,
ओके सर।
एनी मोर क्वेरीज? Yeah, Sahil, I'm just saying that maybe these concepts do not go through to everyone in one iteration. This is the idea, because different people have different what can I say, different speed of learning, right? Some people might actually grasp everything in the live lecture itself. Some people might need to watch it multiple times. Some people might need to run the code and then understand what I was talking about. So this is different for different people, right? The only advantage of giving you the lectures beforehand is that you can learn on your own pace. This is the only point. And this is why even I feel a bit what can I say, a bit at unease, because I was thinking that there will be so many questions on pointers, but there are so few. It means that either everything is clear, you know, which is a bit difficult uh, to digest, right? Even if I'm teaching remarkably well, it is highly unlikely that you will understand all the concepts in the first go. Or the only thing is that you might not have understood anything at all. Okay, so there is really nothing to ask a doubt about. So, any more questions, guys? Otherwise, I'll have a look at what Ayush has sent. Okay, so let me just unshare this screen and we'll share whatever. Oh, have I not shared anything? Sorry. Let me just share whatever Ayush has sent. Mm, let us try to understand what this says. So consider an array. Int num is this. P1 and P2 are two pointers of type int asterisk. If P1 equals num and P2 equals P1 plus 5, then what is the value of char asterisk P2 minus char asterisk P1? Okay, so let us just see. 5 means, so P1 is pointing. Okay, you cannot see my mouse, right? uh, there is no laser
So we
pointer here,
can.
is it?
Yes, sir, we can see
We
your
can
mouse.
see.
See your
You
mouse.
can
We
see.
can see,
Very,
sir.
oh, very good, very good, very good. Thanks. Thank you. I thought mouse pointers are not shared. Anyhow, so P1 is pointing here, right? This is what I can understand now. So P1 points here, and 5 means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this should be here, right? P2 should be here. Okay, then what is the value of char asterisk P2? So this is where P2 is, right? So basically it is just trying to typecast this particular uh, address as a character pointer, and this is char asterisk P1. So this particular point is, so this is like this: whenever you typecast a particular address through a, in the form of a particular type of so this is basically typecasting, right? I'm typecasting this particular location as char asterisk. So the only thing that is happening here is I'm just going to treat it as as a different data type. It's like this. So this is the same thing as what we were doing in that segmentation fault wala kind of thing, right? So essentially what we were doing was we were basically accessing a particular memory location. And if you guys have read the answer that I gave to Jay, the idea was that I was just trying to uh, you know I was trying to write at a particular memory location, assuming it was an integer, right? So that ptr equal to 5. I was just assuming that this particular memory location is pointing to an integer, even though it was not pointing to an integer. That was the explanation that I gave. So that is the same thing. If you have two pointers and you just put an explicit cast at them. So here I'm just trying to treat it as a character pointer, and here again I'm just trying to treat it as another character pointer. It is basically a kind of explicit casting, right? So now the actual output will depend on, let us say, let us just assume that this one is at location 1000, right? This is the way I look at it, that this is at location 1000, and assuming that, okay, here it has already said that int takes 4 bytes. So this is 1000, this is 1004, 1008, 1012, 1016, and 1020, right? So this location is 1020, and this one is 1000. Now it doesn't matter what you are trying to, this typecast here, it only works when you are going to access this. So if I put an asterisk here, okay, you guys can see my mouse, right? So if I put an asterisk here, only then this typecast actually makes any sense. Otherwise it is just an address. It doesn't matter what that address is. So this is 1020 and this is 1000, let us just assume. Okay, so if you do a minus, 1020 minus 1000, it is just what, 20. So this is what it is, says that the answer is 20, because these are two addresses, and but the I'm not sure how many compilers will allow this I'm not sure, because you might actually get an error saying that you are trying to do subtraction on, or between two pointers. So this I'm not sure of what compilers will probably allow. Someone's mic is on. Yeah, so
Sir,
this I'm not sure whether this
I tried it.
subtraction thing, it will allow you to do it or not. But if it allows, because there is no option here of compilation error, if it allows, then the output will be 20 only. Is it clear, Ayush, why it is 20?
Yes, sir.
You are
So I
just
was confused at why not we, if when we are typecasting, why not we are taking 1 byte for P1, means at point 0.6.
no. See, it's like this. You can actually typecast any pointer to any other type. It's your responsibility then, right? So basically, you are telling the compiler that this particular location, treat it like, so the only thing it would have mattered is something like this. Let us say you put another parenthesis here, okay, char asterisk p1, and then you do +1. Okay, let us assume like this. You put like, only then will this char asterisk typecast makes sense, because then when you do a +1, it means go to the next byte 1021. If you just do p1 plus 1, it will go to 1024, for example. But if you do char asterisk typecast p1 and then you do +1, it will go to 1021, right? So this typecast is only used in order whenever you are doing this arithmetic. If you are adding something or subtracting something, then this typecast plays a role. Okay, the amount by which you will go ahead or come back, that will be decided by your typecast. Okay, so that is why I said that if you put a parenthesis here and you do +1, then without char asterisk and with char asterisk, the outputs will be different. Okay,
Yes,
but
sir. Got
here
it.
here I'm not, just try it, right? I mean, try to check if GCC allows this.
Yes, sir.
um,
GCC allows this. I tried it on terminal. It is fine, sir. I
okay, okay, so basically it is allowing you to subtract one pointer from another pointer. I'm
yes,
not
sir.
sure it is a standard operation. Adding two pointers. Okay, maybe it is allowing, because usually it doesn't make any sense. You don't add pointers to another pointers, or subtract pointers. But whatever, right? Maybe it is allowed. That is the point. In the world of pointers, there are so many things, which even I would probably not be able to tell without looking into the Kernighan Ritchie book. Okay, so by the way, there is a book in your references, right? The Kernighan Ritchie book. um, Read that book. Okay, the chapter on pointers and arrays. um, that is a very concise chapter, and it will tell you about so many concepts related to pointers. Many of them even I would probably not be knowing. I have read that book, but I read it long back, so I would have forgotten a few concepts out of it. But the best place to learn about pointers is that book. There is a chapter on pointers and arrays. So if you have time, if you are interested, please read that chapter. Okay. Okay, so I think we've already gone through stuff. Uttaran has written something. What is it, Uttaran? I'm not sure.
Sir, I
Yeah, go ahead.
sir, I just wrote a code to check what will
Mm-hmm.
be the output for various cases, and for that I declared an pointer to var, and then I set the value of a to var, and then in the output I took the output of var and var, and the difference in the output is 4. I mean, is it some special Was it?
Because ampersand where is not the address of A, right? It is the address of where itself. It is similar to that PTR and dummy thing, right? When you do ampersand PTR, it is not the address of dummy. It was the address of of PTR itself. Okay, and the same thing is that the difference of 4, because there are how many variables? 2 variables, right? So if the first variable is getting declared and allocated at, let us say, location 1000, uh,
Hmm.
and this one is a pointer, right? So there is a good chance that it might, the next one, A, will be allocated somewhere at 1008. There's a good chance. There's no guarantee, but there's a good chance that it will be allocated at 1008. So now I'm not sure what does it show, 55.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah, so 55 where, ampersand where, and what is the last one? Value at where. Yeah, value at where. Okay, yeah, value at where is right. Um, so what does it say? 454, 458. 454 is what? Where? Guys, if others can leave, by the way, you'll be having another class, so you can leave. I'll just have a look at this one. Hmm, and, uh, yeah, Utran, just send it over to me over email. Okay, I'll have a look at it. Okay, guys, bye.